Today I want to talk about how to get your kids ready to go back to school or to start school for the first time. So thank you for being here. I'm Catherine and this is my channel One Hill of a Life, where we talk about things that involve books and reading, and sometimes I'm hoping to throw in some life things that are going on. We'll just see how it goes. But today I really do want to talk about getting our kids ready to go back to school. I know it's crazy to even think that we're still in July and it's already time to start thinking about heading back to school. I know that where I live, we do not start until about the middle of August, so we still have a couple of weeks, but I know there's schools in our area that are going back to school on July 30th, so when this video airs, it'll probably be the next day. That some of our schools in our area will be heading back because they are on a year-round schedule. So it means that they take a shorter summer break, but they get longer fall breaks and spring breaks and a few other bigger breaks throughout the year to compensate for that. But I cannot believe that we are at this point in time in the year. It seemed like we just got done with the end of the school year, and here we are ready to talk about the next school year. For us, most of our supply shopping is already done. I like to get that done as soon as possible. It helps ease the anxiety and stress in the acquisition of all the supplies in case I can't find what we need and I have to go to multiple places. But beyond that, I hope that you've had a summer of sunshine and swimming and rest. So getting started into our main topic today, like how can we get our kids ready to go back to school or to start school for the first time? Some of the things that I like to do is, especially when my boys were really little and we were starting first grade, kindergarten, preschool, we'd actually start getting our school bedtime and morning routines, like wake up, in place a week or two before school started. So that would involve getting our bedtimes back to where it was like normal bedtime, a good bedtime to be gone all day, waking up early so that way our body's adjusted to that without being grumpy the very first week. Another big thing, especially when they were going to full day school and had to pack lunch, is that we started a couple of days a week, we'd have a packed lunch where literally I would pack their lunchbox with everything they'd want for a school packed lunch in the lunchbox, and they would have to practice opening and closing all the packages, the zippers, all of it. They had to know how to do that, especially for kindergarten. We have a fairly small school. Class sizes are usually about 20 students, but imagine the assistant in the cafeteria having to help each of those students in a half hour open everything. There just isn't time for your kids to eat and eat efficiently. So just something to keep in mind, especially if you're looking at younger years. Just get your bedtime routine started like that's, and I know we are older, so we have been staying up later this summer for the first time and sleeping in. So I know we're going to have to make some adjustments here in the next couple of weeks as far as going to bed at a better time, waking up on time, so we can mitigate the rush the first few days of school. I can remember growing up all the heightened emotions that came with the very first day of school. The uncertainty of your class size, uncertainty of who was going to be in your class with you, if you were going to like your teacher. And, I was never like one of the most well-liked students. So it was always a little trepidation of, is this going to be a better year than how the year before went as far as like socially? And it always did. Everything turned out well. And also I always loved new clothes. So a couple times, like my parents, I didn't get new clothes all the time, especially when I was younger. So I always loved the back to school shopping because we had like a big shopping day where we did all the supply shopping, including clothes. And it just I always loved putting together new outfits and looking my best that first day. It was something that was very important to me as a kid. Not as important now as an adult, but I still like to look presentable in public. But with that, there's all these uncertainties. I can remember my kids, their first few years, like the excitement of something new, but also like they didn't understand the gravity of what was happening, how much their little lives were going to change with going to school half day and then full day. And my kids tend to be a little sensitive to those things, so it was hard. Um, One of the things that I wish that I had thought of and I didn't realize was important until after we were past it is going to our library and asking for books about the first day of school. So that's what I did this year. I went to my library and our children's librarian. I said I would like back to school, first day of school books for a variety of ages, and she delivered for me. These are just the books that she pulled from our shelves at our local library, but you can also, I started to look into it, you can search online for back to school, first day of school, starting a new school with your age and grade in mind. These are just the books that my librarian was able to pull with those requirements. So the first is actually a set of books by the same author and illustrator, and they are for my first day of preschool, my first day of kindergarten, and my first day of first grade. I glanced through them. You know, you have a bunny. Bunny is ready for preschool. For preschool, you have a kitten is ready for kindergarten, and a sloth is ready for first grade. And glancing through these, it looked like they had age-appropriate things of like what a kid could expect for each of these grade levels, along with the emotions. I think these would be really good if you're looking for a set of books. These next two, I was looking through them and I wasn't too big on them, but I mean, local library, they were free to me. So I have a kitty cat. Kitty cat, are you going to school? Which has a lot of rhyming in it. And then this one, I love the illustrations. It was kind of tricky. It looks like they're done with crayon, much more school appropriate, and it's the first week of school. And this goes through each day of the week, Monday through Friday, and some of the things that they experience, what circle time is, just really exciting things in there. But the ones that I absolutely loved were the crayons go back to school. So if you can, this is a series called The Day the Crayons Quit. We've had several books of these over the years in our household, so it's fun to see the series keep going. One that I'm pretty sure we had and I actually got rid of when my boys were a little bit bigger, and it is a Usborne book called Going to School. We did read this one before, and it's a good one. I love how it explains things for students, and it's just interesting to see how different authors interpret the first day of school. One of the things that I really liked, now I would say this is for a kid who's going back to school, and it's a little different. It is from Back to School Backpack, and it is from the backpack's point of view. It's a good, I think I liked how it's the reminder of like years past, things forgotten, how their summer was. I definitely think this would be good for like second grade, third grade even, just a little bit older, a reminder. Then moving on, then you have groups for older kids. So this one is The Very Worst Ever, First Day, Worst Day. Online, this said that it's ages 5 to 9, so kindergarten through to first grade through fourth grade. Definitely, if it's kindergarten, first grade, you're going to want to read it. But I read this book in about an hour just to see what this one was about because it was easy. I really enjoyed it. It's a good reminder of like how unlucky someone is and how the luck can change. And it is a series, so there's more books. I'm actually very curious to see if my kids would read this one. The oldest one read the first chapter, said it was okay, but he's kind of aging out of it. So I'll definitely see what my younger son thinks. The next one is going up in age, and this is for the age range of 8 to 12, so like 3rd grade to 7th grade, depending on their reading ability. And it's Old School by Gordon Korman, and it's about a student who has lived at a retirement village with his grandma since he was 6 years old, and now he's got to go to actual school. He was kind of homeschooled, and the shenanigans that ensue with him having to leave the retirement home and go to be with around kids his own age. And the last one is, this is age range 10 to 14, so 5th grade and up, and it is The Extraordinary Orbit of Alex Ramirez. And it's about a student in 7th grade who loves watching YouTube videos about rockets and rocket launches, and how he is in a self-contained classroom, so probably more of a special ed room, and he would really like to advance out of that so he could start his journey to NASA to study rockets. Now, this is just a sampling of what my library was able to provide to me with the request that I made. There are other books. I'm sure there's books that you read growing up. Another good one that came to my mind was Matilda, because throughout the book she starts school. That was the first one that popped into my head, but there's tons of books. Right now, I'm reading Heidi with my sons, and so Heidi is now starting her education journey where we're at in the book. But go to your library, look online, find the books, that might help ease the transition from summer to school with your own student, your own child in your life. You know them best and their temperament and what they're going to need. The resources are out there. This is, again, like I said, just a sampling of what my library could hand to me that day when I asked. I wish I had thought about reading a book to my kids the week or so prior to them starting school in years past, especially when they were really, really little. I'm pretty sure we read the Going to School Usborne book. But it's just, these are things that should have made sense. But as you're going through life, there's just things that you forget, and you just need somebody to remind you, like, hey, this is a possibility, and it's okay if you missed it, like I did when my kids were young, and now you're like, oh, I didn't think to prepare them that way. There's all different ways we can prepare our children to head back to school. We as parents need to be prepared for it as well. But this is just fun, an idea of something to add in over the next few weeks if you're looking to make that transition from summer to school again. Just remember, you can look for age-specific books or grades for your kids. Again, another big thing to help with planning out your back to school, most schools, or at least the ones in my area, have a back to school night where it's either the evening before the first day or a couple days before, where you go to the class, your teacher classroom, so your student gets to see their classroom. They can drop off their supplies, so that way it's less that they have to manage on the very first day of school, and it just helps ease the anxiety. They'll know which classroom they're heading to. They'll know that they haven't forgotten anything. And again, like I said, starting to establish the routines that you want to set for beginning the school year well. All those things start taking place now. I'm sorry if your school is already back in session, but if you don't start until later, either in August or September, these are things that you can start thinking and planning for as you move forward into the autumn. So, do you feel ready for back to school now? Hopefully you found something in today's video that is helpful or useful to you, or just a reminder of a possibility that you hadn't thought of in the past. It's what we need to prepare for the transition, and I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your summer, but just don't forget to start preparing for the fall, and I will see you in the next video.